So for someone that wants hi-fi but doesn't have a lot of money, like, what do we do? What do you have there?
Yeah, you're talking about probably 99% of people. And we got a lot of beginners. Typically, historically, no one can afford good sound. Because let's say an amplifier is $1,000 from an industry product. It really only gets you 10% better than a $200 amplifier you get as an entry level or on sale at Best Buy or wherever it might be. So as we go at length over the last 4 years, and when COVID came by and I had free time to be at the factory with Angela-Gilbert Yeung all the time, I said to her, can we make something for beginners that's really hi-fi sound, great sound? And she toiled with it for months. And then eventually came up with an idea. She said, listen, if we go through and you let me do anything I want. I said, what do you mean anything? She goes, art. I always loved to create abstract art. I said, fair enough. What are you going to do? She said, I'm going to go find all these cases of old hi-fi that are abandoned, thrown out, surround sound receivers that broke, old amplifiers that broke. I'll gut the inside of them, like we've talked about in the past. It means take all the parts out from the original product, and I'm going to use all the products that I have that are brand new parts inside, transformers, signal line stages, output, integrated circuits or ICs that drive the speakers, and I'll build you integrated amplifiers that have inputs for CD players and DACs and computers, and we'll switch to the input we want to listen to, turn it up and down, and it'll drive two speakers. And we can start with what's called Funkies. So the Funkie line was created then on an idea that we could sort of recycle the inner of broken old components and then paint and beautify the outside of them with abstract art, put new parts in that we've had 35 years of extra parts that we can't get extras of. So we got, 10 transformers of this. We've got 20 volume controls, but we can't get the same one because that company either doesn't make it anymore or changed it completely, and we can't put it in our production line. So these are our production line things that are all finished as Gilbert Yeung stuff that you know and you've seen in the store, Aaron, many times. So the Funkies, way back in the 2019 going into 2020, we made our very first one. It's right here. This is the first Funkie ever made. This is called a Zoni actually, because it's Sony. And the humor and the Chinese accent that comes from Gilbert Angela Yeung comically named it Zoni. And it says so on the back of each of these amplifiers. You'll see Funkies here. There's one here. One here. These are both $1,500 price point Funkies. This one says, what does it say? Hitachi, which would be Hitachi. This one is Onikyo, Onikyo, which is an Onkyo, as you can see. And they're beautifully, aesthetically, artistically finished. But inside are new pieces. This one, for instance, has two input 1, and then here allows me to go to this switch for 2, 3, and 4. And these are all quality direct switches on every piece that's handmade from scratch, point to point, wire to wire, without circuit boards, without slowdowns. And inside of these have large transformers, huge amounts of capacitance energy in the line, signal line and output. And they have volume controls, and up on each one on the back there's an upgrade port, so you can upgrade them. So this Sony, for instance, has so much capacitance on board when it plays music. At $1,500, typically to get this transformer and this output, I would have to spend $6,000 to $9,000 retail. And for this, not only is it $1,500 Canadian, it's better made by quite a bit, because nothing out there is made by one pair of hands. So I'm going to play, for instance, I can play this thing and show you what it's like. So this will play a little bit of music. Can't remember what input we're on here. Bear with me one moment, it's just starting.
There you go. Switch back to 1.
No, I think what's happened here is my streamer has locked up. So let me just grab here and I'll grab any song. This is still song Mel Torme, and I picked a different song, but
input 1.
there we go. So input 1. So there's Wiseman, so Elvis Tim playing. You see the inputs? There. Now I'll turn the power off. No, it has no hydro. That's simply running by stored energy inside of it. And it'll play for about a minute and a half. And then we can turn it back on. But the point there is, nothing's made like that at $1,500. And I know $1,500, even for a beginner, is expensive. But when you get beautiful art that's signed, and you can use these as long as you want, and all of our customers bring these back in and move up along the line to the first integrated we have that's similar to this at $29.95, or as they go, and I give them all their money, the $1,500 back. This section here, these two are $2,500. They're much larger power. These usually go between 19 and about 40 watts of power output. These are all 50 and 55, 60 maximum in the 2,500 range. Some of these also, like for instance this new Onkyo one that was redone, I think it's quite beautiful. It has a, it's like a Wheel of Fortune in the art, and it says, Big Money, which is Chinglish for big money, I think. And then the other is Good Sound, and several others. What's that one say? I can't even see that one somewhere. Big Money, Good Sound. So just a fun little thing in the art. But inside of this one also, there are 2 transformers. So they are synchronized double transformer in here, which is way more work and way quieter and gives a different sound quality. So each of them are one of a kinds, which is just wonderful. Somebody gets something that no one else will ever have. And this fabulous sound, as I mentioned, can be upgraded. So on the back of all of the Funkies, you'll see things like Gilbert Art, Hitachi 723, which means it was done in July 23rd. And then you've got an input jack, FCF, 32 volts. So this is Fab Cap Finute. This is a capacitor-based input, and that's called a Nutrix PowerCon. And Nutrix is like your XLR jack. They make this little connector, and I can add a big box like this of capacitance with a PowerCon connector attached to it, and multiply this by 10 or 20 times the original energy as an upgrade add-on. And all of our capacitor banks that we use here, we can use in our entire line on every product we make. So it's a building block process where it's very efficient and no loss, and wonderful that young beginners in jobs and beginners in hi-fi can experience beautiful, perfect music that they're drawn into and listen to for years and have a smile on their face without the huge expense. And we just love them.
Because it's a one-off, so it's...
Yeah, that's exactly right. And all of them have detachable power cords, so you can put larger gauge power cords on them, help out the transformers to become faster, quieter, give you more and more great sound. There's another one here. This is a Pili, which would be a Pioneer. And it said that this one you could touch. It was sort of like the controls are so easy to move on this. You could just do it with the side of your finger. Even if you had arthritis, you could move this and play the music, turn it up and down. And the basic amplifiers of old that are new inside here are in play now, because so many things that we use are on our phones, like a streamer, which have volume on them. So you still have a fully remote system, even though there's not a remote inside these. And yes, you can add remotes to a lot of these products if we really needed to. But the Funkies we keep basic. And they're just beautiful works of art that people really enjoy. They'll outlast just about anything you could ever imagine industry made. There's nothing in here but point-to-point, beautifully made gear. And that's how we get all our beginners happy. And you know what? I have yet to have anyone ever trade in a Funky, even if they get the means later and become music lovers and buy any of the Angela-Gilbert product as they go up the line. They always keep the Funkies because they become attached to them. Just like the Funky you have.